What is going on, you guys? I'm here to bring you another video today. So today I'm going to be just talking through what Wizard 101 is like in 2023. So I got a request, just being in the common area of the arena, of like, getting some tips and tricks and explanation on how everything has changed, especially for newer players and returning players. So first I want to start out with, they have completely changed to an entire new pip system. And the way that the pip system works is that certain spells will have your school pip in the top left corner. So for this one, it'll have like a life looking pip on the right side of the number in the top left hand corner. So you have to at least have a life pip in order to use this spell. And the way that you would activate that is that with this part of your deck, this should be showing up. I've learned that it shows up, and you can't use Arc Mastery until level 50, and even before then you can't use it. So if you were to like try to solo quest on your life, and the only AoE low pip AoE they have is Rat Spin, you can't use it because you can't get Arc Mastery until level 50. But the efficiency, as you can see as I'm hovering over it, is 100%. But for PvP, in order for you to have 100%, you have to fill the entire deck up. But if I were to change or take out like 2 rows, that percentage would go down, and the percentage of me getting a school pip at all would be lower. So it's not just for life, it can be for myth. No matter what school you change it to, it'll be 100%. So when you're in a fight, you will have the same option. It'll look just like this in the bottom right hand corner. So it'll look just like this. It'll have your school symbol as a default already there. So you would click your school symbol, it will fan out like this, and then you would choose the school that you want to use for Arc Mastery. So basically it's a fancy way of not having a mastery, so you don't have to wear a mastery basically. In a sense it's helpful, but it's also very complex and confusing if you don't know how to use it. So in a PvP video that I have recorded for you guys to look at, just so you can get an idea on how it kind of works, I used it a little bit but not too much, so hopefully that'll give you an idea on how it works. And I feel like a visual representation usually helps. I'm a visual person, so I totally understand looking at things visually instead of things just getting explained to me. So I will show you that. But anyways, so it's not on every spell actually. So as you've already can tell, it's not on the imp spell, it's not on the fairy spell, it's not on the leprechaun spell. It's only on lore spells. So it's on Weaver, it's on what's another one? It's on Goat Monk. I'm trying to find another example for you guys. I don't think I really have one, but it's mostly on lore spells. So you will have to have your orb efficiency, this is the main idea, very high, and fill your entire deck. If you don't fill your entire deck, you will struggle in a PvP match. I can almost guarantee you that, because if you're trying to use lore spells, you will not do very well. Now, if you're not very dependent on lore spells, then if you want to run a lower deck, that's fine too. You don't have to have a full deck, but it is helpful to have a full deck if you want to run Arc Mastery. So since my setup doesn't have a Myth Mastery, right? So if I were to take out, let's say 3 rows to make my deck smaller and to be more aggro and be more aggressive. So I would take out these 3 rows, and mind you, I don't have a Myth Mastery, but if I still want to use this, my chances of getting a Myth pick if I were to fan this out and pick Myth would be lower, because I would drop down to 75%, and the chances of me getting that pip will be slower, and it will take longer, which will hurt me in the long run, because if I'm really needing this betrayal to turn their shields into traps, then I'm kind of in a bad spot. Now, with the betrayal and delusion, just a side note, they are chromatic. So regardless of what school you're on, let's say you use betrayal on ice, it'll give you ice traps. You use betrayal on a fire, it'll give you fire traps. It's chromatic, so it won't just give you myth traps. It'll give you the traps of the school that you are using. I don't know if they're planning on changing this. I kind of had some rumors or some stuff I saw on Atmoplex that they were going to probably change this. I hope not, because it is different and it is useful. So now Myth is pretty much a go-to school for a side school, at least for PvP. Now, as you can see, I trained a little bit of other schools just to have like set shields at this point. So that is my deep explanation of the new Arc Mastery system, of what's new, at least in this meta, and how things have changed. So going into smaller things, so let me go in here into the arena, and as you can see, there are only 4 pedestals, right? So this pedestal over here, you'll click X and you'll see these battle pass things. It's basically like a scroll of fortune for PvP. So the more matches you do, the more rewards you earn, and you have different tiers and everything. It's basically the same setup, but it's less prizes than Scroll of Fortune. But it is still nice to have these prizes, especially if you PvP a lot. You can gain things from that, especially with the double points that's out right now currently. So it's a good time to PvP if you really want the prizes that are offered in the battle pass. So let's go back. So you press X, you press this, and then it'll show you have to be this level, and it'll tell you the things that aren't allowed in the matches and what will happen in the match that you will go in. So this is Grand, 40 to 50. So you won't crit at all. Your incoming heal is disabled. You can't use Decathlon decks, and no pre-enchanted cards. So you hit ranked, and then you will click join, and you can also watch matches. So this is how you would watch matches. You basically would have to go in as if you were going to do a match. So let me do it one more time. So you go into ranked, and then you go to watch the duel or join the duel. So that's kind of still the same. So basically, you will not be able to use the pedestal if you are like level 30 or 20 or 10 or 70, 80, 90, because you aren't in the brackets that I'm going to show you in the future pedestals. So this pedestal is the pedestal that I would be using because I'm 69. So you have to be 60, 69. Your crit is disabled, so you can't crit. Your incoming healing is disabled. Your decathlon decks aren't allowed, and there's no pre-enchanted cards. So basically pretty much what Grand is, it's just a higher level cap. So you will basically just go in like before, and then I would click quick join, and then it would put me in the line for a match, and that's that. So basically it's the same process for each tier of PvP. So this one's Exalted, and it even says it on the top if you look at it. So it says Master League, and then Legendary League, which is me, and then Exalted League. I'll just show you, since I already showed you how to get into a match or watch a match, I'll just show you the level caps. So this is 100 to 109, and this one you can't use Shadow Pip hits. Your incoming healing is disabled. No decathlon decks. No pre-enchanted cards. And then of course for the Max League, or Premier League as you'd like to call it, it's 150 to 160. And as you can see, there's not a lot of restrictions. So you still can't have incoming healing and no pre-enchanted cards. So, and as you can see at the bottom left, you can also display leaderboards, or if you need help of any kind, you can click this lovely button here and it should help you. So let's look into leaderboards, and it'll show you all of who is on the leaderboards for this league specifically. As you can see, it's all just 160. I don't think they have a pedestal specifically for all of the levels put together. So let's go to help. So even in the help, it'll pop up and it'll say click the rank button to join the rank queue for PvP match. Click the practice button to start a practice PvP match. So it'll tell you how to navigate a little bit, but it doesn't fully explain how to navigate it through and how to be able to access these on-off levels. So basically, if you only have like a level, let's say you have a level 75 on the account, and that's the only level or the highest level that you have, you would have to level up to like basically level 100 in order to use these pedestals. It won't let you use the pedestal if you are not one of these levels. It is kind of weird, but it is for the same reason of not having a lot of random levels join, so that it's fair for everybody of matchmaking, which I kind of understand it. So I can see where they were going with that, but it is frustrating for people who have just random levels and they just want to watch a match. So it can be frustrating in that regard. So there is that. And as far as the tournaments go, so you still have your tournaments. The only thing that I've learned, especially the hard way, you don't get prizes anymore. As you can see, if you hover over it, it says no rewards. So you can't get mass tickets anymore. So nobody really does tournaments, as you can see, because of the cost of the tournament. It'll still show you the rules of which tournament you decide you want to do. And these aren't really popular anymore, considering they don't give a lot of tickets, so nobody really uses the tournament pedestal anymore. To be quite frank, I don't think they should even have this out, because there's no point. You don't really gain anything from it. I think you can get like some reagents or something, maybe some pet snacks, but if for a tournament in a PvP arena area, and if you're not obtaining any tickets, I just don't see a point of having this, in my opinion, but that's just me. But anyway, so onto the vendors. So the vendors, this vendor here, if it'll load, you can craft some of the like pack stuff, the wands and stuff. The aesthetic will look weird, but you'll have the stats, and of course you can always stitch and everything. So these things at the bottom, so these you get from like the Swirl of Fortune, or from matches, and this you can just buy from the vendor, and then you'll get these as you do matches. And as you can see, you can like craft all of these robes that you would get from packs and stuff. So they basically have implemented a way for you to obtain those gear pieces without having to essentially use crowns technically to get them. A more less money hungry way to get the gear. There is a way to make gold skeleton keys. It's not too hard, but I think it's just a little too much just to make a gold key. But they are rare, and they did make it harder to obtain. So there's that. And then of course you can craft TCs. It's a lot easier to craft these TCs if you are in a guild, or if you are, and then they have the PvP crafter unlocked, so you don't have to use these, but you can simply just purchase these rubies, and then these are not hard to get. So as long as you have tickets to buy these, you can make as many as you want. It's just easier to make the TC, especially like Betrayal or Vigilance, with Azoth in your guild with the PvP crafter unlocked. And depending on how fast your guild is and how efficient they are, they will have it unlocked, or if they won't have it unlocked. And I can't show you on this character, but if you go to the guild house, you will see if they don't have it unlocked, it'll show the requirements to unlock it and what reagents it takes to unlock the crafter in order for you to use it in the guild house. So this is one of the crafters, or the vendors, if you will, and this is where you'll get your Duelist, Peridot, Opal that you see in all those recipes that I just showed you. See, but the cost is 60, 20, you know. And I've only, if you saw earlier, I've only done 3 matches, and I only have 14 blue tickets, and they did change from red tickets to blue tickets, which I don't know why they did that, but I mean, it's interesting. But you know, if you really wanted to craft the TCs like crazy, you can't anymore, because you can't just get a mass amount of tickets. So you basically have to do like a lot of matches, which is why it's just not even worth crafting that stuff. But I get they were probably trying to make it harder to craft the TC. I think that's what they were going for, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go over here, and he sells treasure cards, but the only treasure cards he sells is the Moonblade, the Starblade, and the Sunblade. Now, I rarely see people use this in PvP, but people do use this in raids sometimes. It just depends on what your guild is running and what strat they're running. But yeah, these are morely used in raids that I've seen rather than PvP matches. I've seen like 1 or 2 people use these in PvP matches, but that was maybe like an age ago or like months ago. Not to say they aren't useful, but it's just, as you can see, it's very costly to obtain them, considering how hard it is now to get tickets. So looking at these, this will take you to the amulets, and he only sells amulets gear wise. So I could buy these amulets. They're level 40, however, but I can still buy them and use them. And the beauty of these is that they already have the slots unlocked, so you don't have to use a wrench or anything to unlock it. It's already unlocked for you. And as you can see, the 140 will give you res. So if you didn't run a full deck technically, and you wanted to just have the mastery for that one school that you know you just need, and you won't need any other school, then you can run a lower deck and you can essentially use one of these amulets. This is probably your best bet, considering it gives you a little bit of health, and you can add more health into the amulet rather than just using a regular mastery. It seems silly because it's level 40, but it's better than just having the ability to use your power pips for myth spells. You know what I'm saying? So it's very it's a lot of, as you can tell, it's a lot of thinking and a lot of problem solving and looking at how you want to play the game. So this part right here, this is just all your jewels, kind of like how they had it before. Nothing really different, except that, you know, they're blue tickets that are red tickets to purchase them, and they're not going to be as easy to obtain them because they are a good amount of tickets, and since tournaments don't give you any tickets like that anymore, then you can't get these as fast. So your best bet to get the jewels, even at max, you can get jewels from raids easily. I have like a good bit of jewels that I've gotten from raids, and you don't even have to spend this money. But if you were to come to it, if you're like in the worst situation possible, you're not in a guild, you don't know anyone, or you just started, then you can just come here and you can buy these jewels to start out. Until you get involved with a guild and start doing raids and understanding how raids work, then you can get at least good health jewels and resist jewels and stuff like that. So this is just, you know, briefly, all like the health jewels are here. These are all your damage, flat damage jewels, and these are your accuracy and pip jewels, and then your flat res jewels. Those should be self-explanatory. So let's go. I don't think I can look at her stuff. Oh no, maybe I can. Okay, it just didn't show on top of her head. I don't know. So these are rematches / recharges. These are rematches that will give you Azoth. Now the recipe down here, it takes a lot of parchment and ancient scrolls. These are like the easiest reagent out of the recipe, but these will take some time. So a recharge is basically just using a trophy from you already defeating a rematch, and then just making it basically a little bit easier to craft it instead of having to use your parchment. So it's basically what a recharge is, and it's really nice to use a recharge so that way you don't have to use up your scrolls, because if you're making a lot of croc rematches, you are using up a lot of parchment and scrolls. But these are mostly just pointed towards guilds, since guilds use a lot of Azoth TC, so this is more beneficial to guilds than it is to PvP. Although, like I've said before, you can use your Azoth to craft PvP TCs in the guild house if the guild has the PvP crafter unlocked. So moving on, let's go to this guy right here. Now, if you notice, I don't think it's on this. I think it's on the other vendor. Yeah, it's on the other vendor. So this vendor, it still has the blue tickets. He's the same guy that's always been around pretty much since the beginning of time, but they just made him now where he can sell these for blue tickets only. But if you go to this vendor, if you see it, it's 4th age ticket vendor. So if you still have like red tickets lying around, he still sells stuff for red tickets. But granted, some of the stuff is not things you probably won't buy or won't need, but it's still an access to you if you have red tickets that you want to use up, that you've had from like 4th age and you were around that time. And you can still buy some of the same stuff that the other vendor has, but with red tickets, if you have red tickets lying around but you just don't have a lot of blue tickets. And you can buy some snacks if you want to. They don't have Warlord's Worst anymore, which kind of sucks. I remember those times, but they don't have that anymore. I don't understand why they got rid of it, but it was kind of helpful at times. So there's that. So that's pretty much all the vendors in PvP areas, and as you can see, there is dedicated sections now. So this area over here is specifically for Beast Moon. So you have your Beast Moon where you create your Beast Moon seeds, and then when Beast Moon is up and running, they'll have a pedestal in this corner, and it will have like recipes to unlock forms that you will use. And then this guy sells recipes of like clothes. So let's see, so like the glowy cape robes, which take a good bit of time to do, but they are very nice in my opinion. I like them. Some people don't. It's an acquired taste. So it's just a matter of if you want it or not. They are grindy to make, but they are totally worth it to me because I really like the glowy cape. I just like capes, so that's just a personal opinion, personal preference. But moving on to the decathlon area, you'll have your station to create your decathlon decks even when it's not in the event is not running. And then you'll have your tome here to explain how decathlon works. I won't go into too much detail on how decathlon works, just to show you of what all's in the arena currently. So that's pretty much everything arena wise. I wanted to try to not make this video very long. I'm going to run into a match though with a lost soul, just so that I can give you guys an idea on how the pip system works a little bit. So let's go to a lost soul. It'll take me some time to get there. Alright, so, and I have one more thing I want to show you in this fight too. So when I get the pips to do something, so let's just shield. Wow, I'm lagging. Okay, so I'm shielding just for now, just to build some pips. So the next round I'm going to show you if you were to use a hit on what is highlighted. So let's say I want to use this spell. I click the spell, and as you can see in the bottom right corner on top of my name, there is a crit percent, a damage percent, and a block percentage. So it will show you how much more damage will be applied to this spell and even on the enemy. So let's say I use this spell, and I'm going to be able to crit because I'm not in a match, so I'm able to crit. So what was highlighted over my name will be applied to the spell. And it also showed that the Lost Soul had no block, so there was no chance for it to block. So if you were to be in a course of like an actual challenge match or a battle or a fight, you can see like if the enemy, if you want to risk it, if you would like to just be like, you know, screw it, I'm gonna cast it anyway, now or never, they should die, hopefully they don't block. And you can check to see how much chance they have to block your spell if you crit, and then the percentage of when you would crit, and then the amount of damage applied to the spell multiplier to have more damage on the spell that you casted. So let's go into another one just to show you the Arc Mastery a little bit. I can't show you too much because I'm not in a PvP match, so some stuff is not going to show up. But what I can show you is this. So if you hover over it, it'll say 0% to the next life pip. But as you can see, I've already obtained a life pip because I'm at 100%. My deck is full. So I already have a life pip, but that's by default because I haven't been able to choose my pips yet. So let's go ahead and shield. So because PvP is turn-based, you will be able to choose the pip that you want to get the next round, but you won't be able to get it until your next round, obviously. So you have to kind of like think ahead almost. So let's say you'll have a Betrayal here, but you don't have any myth pips, but the opponent has shields, and you're like, well, shoot, I want to use Betrayal. This is the time where you would click this, go to myth, and then you will get a myth pip next round. So let's pass just so I can show you the efficiency. So now I have a myth pip. So let's say I had Betrayal here. I can use Betrayal because it's 3 pips. So this counts as a myth power pip and a regular power pip. So it's basically 4 pips for a myth spell that I can use without a mastery. So Betrayal is 3 pips. So I would be able to use Betrayal without using up my life pips because there are some spells here that require life pips. So that is a little bit of a taste of the Arc Mastery on how it works. And I've noticed that if you have like 3 other school pips on your thing, on your sigil, and you're like, okay, well, I'm saving this pip, but I want to go ahead and get this school pip so I can, like, let's say reshuffle. So you're gonna get the balance pip, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and use the spell, and then I'll reshuffle. But that spell that you used up your balance pip that you brought up that you wanted to use for later. It can randomly be used, so you have to be mindful of that as well. So you can't always count on that pip always staying there if you are using your own school hits, because those pips also do count towards your school as well. So let's say you only have myth spells in your deck, or well, let's say you have as a secondary school myth spells in your deck along with your life spells. So you have you decide you're just like, you know what, most of my hits don't even require a life pip, let me just make all my pips myth. So you're gonna leave it on the myth setting as you click your choice of school, and all your power pips are myth. Now it doesn't mean that you can't use your regular pip spells. So let's say you wanted to use Centaur and you're full on myth pips that you forgot to maybe turn it off or something. You can still use Centaur, but you can't use Goat Monk because you don't have any life pips. You have to at least have 1 life pip in order to use it. And Lumi, you can't use Lumi because you have to at least have a life pip in order to use it. But you can still use Hunting Worm, you can still use Earthwalker, you can still use Leprechaun, even though you have a full sigil of myth pips, but the only issue is that you just basically won't be able to use the lore spells. You have to have that school's pip in order to at least cast it. You have to at least have one. So there is a little bit of a demonstration on that. I also would like to go over just briefly about guilds. I can't explain too much or go in too much depth because of the character I'm on. And this video is already getting a little long, so I want to try to make this not too long. But I can make a video on explaining guilds if you would like me to. But just very briefly, so to create a guild, you have to be, to create one, you have to be 160. You can join a guild under level 160, but in order to create one, you have to be 160. It tells you literally in fine print. Now, in order to have a guild started, you have to at least have 11 other people, because the raid requires 12 people. You have to at least have 12 people in order to run a raid, otherwise you will not be able to run a raid. So that's why they require 11 other people plus you in order to create a guild from scratch. And as you can see on this guy right here, he has his badge underneath his normal badge of what guild he's in. So that third line underneath your name will have your guild name underneath it. So the guild is, it's kind of like clans. So basically you'll have your clan of, you know, certain clans will have higher productivity in getting Azoth in order to upgrade stuff like the PvP crafter that I mentioned earlier, to craft those TCs that you want to use in PvP so much. And that was one of the reasons I believe that they have made it to where they have a penalty, just because they felt like a lot of people were taking advantage of other guilds, or, you know, some stuff like that, or just guild hopping, which is, it's understandable. But they are, guilds are very, very, it's a lot of work, especially when you have to coordinate with 11 other people to successfully do a raid. So it's like a lot of communication, a lot of coordination, and you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because otherwise the guild, the raid won't go well. And with raids, you do get spellements, you get jewels, you get gear that you can use in PvP, or gear that you can use to upgrade to get better gear for PvP. I can show you in a different video if you really want me to, just to go more in depth in guilds, but I'm just briefly going over guilds right now. But that's essentially what it is. And you have to have cantrips. You have to at least need to have a magic touch cantrip, which you can get from the guy in the wheelchair in the commons. He will give you a quest. Actually, I can go to him because I don't have cantrips on this character yet, so I can show you that really quickly. And I can also go into a video of cantrips, but there should be some other videos I'm sure that other content creators have made for specifically cantrips and how they work. But I can do a tutorial on that as well, on either to get to level 7. I've come up with a system. Well, I've had help on getting to level 7 in order to do Vanguard, and getting there in a reasonable fashion. So I can do a video on that later, but let's get to it. So this guy, so he'll have like 4 things to give you, things that are helpful. So he'll probably explain a little bit about Azoth and how that works, new stuff about PvP, spellements on how they work, and cantrips. So we're going to do cantrips, and then he'll give you the whole spiel. So essentially, your little wand icon in the bottom right corner, you'll click this, and you have to have energy. It's another thing that you are required to have, like, a good amount of energy in order for it to be effective to use if you want to like level up and stuff. So he'll automatically give you this to just go straight to Wisteria. And it'll automatically take you to this little pig right here, and then you'll take this quest, and then he'll tell you all basically the basic stuff, and you'll do the quest and do the flip or whatever. But looking at his spells, this stuff will help you level up, and then also TCs that people can give you in order to level up. But then again, I can do a tutorial on that if you want me to. I don't want to go into them to death because I know this video is already very long. So I'm just going to stop right here, and I hope that this video was somewhat helpful for newer players and returning players if you, in regards to PvP, kind of PvE. And another side note is it does show you the PvE orb efficiency as well, so it has a divided PvP PvE. But I really do hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you would please leave a like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. I do try to post when I can. I am very busy in the real world, so it's kind of hard for me to post as much as I want to. So I am going to stop it right here, and I will see you guys next time.